Okay, the NFL kicks off next week. Back with Beds to do a preview. We talk pretty in depth about all the teams, the divisions, pick our Super Bowl winners, MVPs, all that sort of stuff. So, super long podcast, but if you're as fired up for the NFL season as we are, I think you'll really enjoy this one. So, this is the Randy Forcier podcast. Thank you so much for watching. If you can do me a favor and subscribe or follow, I made a big deal about this on social media this week. Just hit 250 subscribers, which is a big deal for me. Might not seem like much, but I appreciate people that are willing to take the time to follow and see the thing that comes out every week in their podcast app. So if you can do me a favor and you haven't done that, please subscribe on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Would really appreciate it. Thanks so much for the support. Here's Chris. All right, I'm back with Beds. It's one of our favorite times of the year. NFL season kicks off this coming week. We're back to do our annual preview of the season pod. A bunch of different stuff to talk about. Beds, you fired up?
Pretty fired up, buddy. I love this time of year. How about you?
I know. I am too. I don't get too into the preseason nowadays. I don't know if you've been following it religiously, but I have a hard time following it. So I'm getting there as I'm starting to do all these fantasy football drafts. I'm sure the same for you. So I am excited for this week, but it really hasn't been a big thing for me the past couple of weeks.
You mean you don't want to see second and third string linemen? You don't want to watch undrafted wide receivers? Receivers?
I guess it comes down to there being no one on the Pats that really excites me. That would make me want to watch it. I know there's some guys to be excited about, but I don't know, man. For me, preseason was always about seeing what Brady and the offense could put together for a drive or two in their preseason games, or watching that third preseason game where maybe they play the whole first half and see what that was all about. But I'm not ultimately that excited about Mac Jones, which we can get to. So anyways, I'm just kind of out on preseason, but now that we're getting to fantasy, now that the season's coming up, I am definitely fired up and ready to roll.
I'll be interested to hear what you have to say about Mac Jones.
And I think as far as the podcast goes, the plan would be to talk about the things that we are excited about coming into the season. Then we have some other fun stuff to end with, but I think it makes sense to probably start with the Pats.
Yeah.
Right? We're New England guys. I have a love and hate relationship with the Pats over the past few years. Definitely more love than hate, but it's definitely been different since Brady's been gone, and I find it harder and harder to get fired up for them. But tell me why I should be fired up for them.
I think it's a big sell. I think, I don't want to ruin some credibility and sort of, lace a sermon about the Pats and why they're going to be great. I mean, they're in a really tough division. Last year just didn't look like anything that we're used to. But I have some hope for a couple of things. I just love the fact that there's better coaching this year. I think there was just a huge ignorance on Bill's part. And maybe it's a little bit of his coaching tree was poached pretty bad the last 10 years. And last year he just ran into a buzzsaw where it's I could have Sean O'Shea back. I could have him run the offense, but I'm picking from here. I'm picking from there. And he just defaulted back to Matt Patricia. It's none of the coaching stuff to me went well. The offense looked terrible. I just thought it was the biggest mess that I've seen since Bill took over.
So do you think we get the full story ever about what exactly happened with Matt Patricia as the offensive coordinator, why that happened? The whole thing doesn't make sense to me. They obviously pivoted away from it quickly, but what are your thoughts on that?
Well, let me ask real quick. Did you like him as a defensive coordinator? Because there were a lot of maddening games for me where it was bend, don't break. It was that Eagles Super Bowl. We gave up a ton of yards, ton of points. I know we had the Malcolm Butler thing, but it's I had an appreciation for him from a distance because he's a smart guy. Isn't he he's got some ridiculous...
Is he a Harvard guy or MIT guy or something? Yeah, he has this really smart background, but it's hard for me to attribute Patriots defensive success to anyone other than Bill Belichick. So yeah, Matt Patricia, had some good runs, or I just felt like the defense credit or whatever begins and ends with Bill Belichick. So it's I didn't have a lot of hope for him on offense, and I didn't have a lot of regard for him on defense. So it was just kind of one of those things where he was a Belichick guy, so let's give it a shot. Belichick knows what he's doing. And then their offense is an absolute mess, huge regression by Mac Jones, and just kind of a nightmare season on the offensive side. So if there's one thing that I am excited about this year, it is the Bill O'Brien offensive coordinator situation.
Yeah.
Maybe getting rid of some of the receivers, focusing on guys like Kendrick Bourne, having Stevenson in the background, Zeke maybe at the goal line. Like, so I am a little more hopeful on the offense, but I think it starts with the coaching.
I agree with that, and it's like I don't want to go too much into last year, but I think a couple of things matter where it's going to look better this year. So I read somewhere when they got their playbook before the season started, it was like a third of what it typically is. So it's like, and you know these guys, these scouts, all these guys talk. So I'm sure there was something behind the scenes where even a lot of the players were like, what am I looking at? Last year, Trent Brown, I mean, he had 16 penalties. I believe it was 16. So it's like, and you had other random times where the line was atrocious as far as timing is concerned. But also, it's like those guys are sitting there and they know the defense knows, all right, we're about to run on first down. We're going to run on second down. So I would guess those guys were antsy. The playbook wasn't what it was. That the dog in the background?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
She's staying busy.
Yeah, so it's like I feel like the combination of Bill's staff being poached, I think it was worst case scenario trying to find a couple guys to come aboard. So you bring in Joe Judge, you bring in Matt. I just think it was absolute chaos. I think it was ignorance by Bill to assume that would work. Yeah. But behind the scenes, stuff like that, it's like you can't help but wonder, was it just a year where everything was worst case scenario for Bill getting guys the lack of guys coming in? So you fix that with Adrian Clem. So that's a plus on the line. Although the line was injured this preseason, I think with Cole Strange coming back, Owenu coming back, you got Andrews playing center. We got some stuff going on at right tackle. I think Brown, TB77 on the left side is going to be a better player this year. So I'm more focused on Clem. I like Bob being there. And I think I kind of geeked out. I told you a little bit. I was on Pro Football Focus. I looked at that 2011 year and a couple of those years around when Bob was the offensive coordinator for us the first time. The stats of Brady getting the football out after the snap, I mean, it was always fascinating. You know, just quick stuff. But, I mean, I think that's part of the program. So with the line sort of being a question mark, I think we've got 2 weeks to get that together. I think that's going to be fine. But, I mean, I like what we have on offense. I like what we have for coaching. I like Zeke, to your point. Ramondre, I think, is going to be a top 5 back. I
love the optimism on that.
Yeah.
I have always been gun shy to think a Patriot running back could be that high.
Yeah.
Since Corey Dillon days. I always feel like as good as Stevenson might be playing, Zeke will steal a bunch of touchdowns from him. I guess what even makes a top 5 running back, top 5 yards, top 5 fantasy scoring. I hope he does, because if he does, then that's good things for the Pats.
It's going to be huge. And I think a little bit of the issue for him later in the year was the fact that nobody really was coming in for him. Damian Harris was hurt. It wasn't surprising to me that they let him go. I mean, he went to
freaking Damian Harris, man. I had such high hopes for that guy. I thought he was like our next bell horse. Guy that was just going to be our running back for the next few years, an absolute stud, and it just didn't work out. Always hurt.
So Zeke comes in. I think he fills that gap. I think you're going to see some 12 stuff, 2 tight ends, although I'm kind of wondering who's our third tight end because we don't have one right now. Our wideouts, we have a stack of 2 and 3s. We don't have an alpha. I get that. It's going to be a stain against us.
It's hard to get excited about Juju, man. It really is. I guess it's nice to have a guy that you recognize his name, but he's definitely not a one.
Go ahead, please.
I was going to say Kendrick Bourne, I think, is probably the better receiver.
I like Kendrick. Jacoby Myers, to me, was like one of those guys where it's like, all right, he's ours. We groomed him. He became a Patriot. That play last year in Las Vegas, that's an immediate cut in my mind.
Yeah.
I'm okay with him being gone. So I think Juju coming in is sort of an upgrade. He's good in small spaces. His yak is way better than Jacoby's. So it's like, if he could stay healthy, I like that upgrade. Devontae, you're always worried about if he's going to stay healthy. But last year, I think Bourne was just one of those players in that Butler area in that Super Bowl where he had the balls to say something about that playbook or what was going on. And he just sat in the doghouse all year. But, I mean, year one with Mac, some of Mac's bigger plays, deep plays too, all Kendrick Bourne. So I'm excited to have him back. Pop Douglas, Butte, I mean, those kids made the team.
Yeah.
So I mean, here's your case for the Pats. If the line situation fixes itself, i.e., gets healthy, they play well. Bob runs the show. Your wide receivers don't get hurt every 5 seconds. Those twos and threes maybe play like solid twos.
Yeah.
I like a running back. And quite frankly, we were high on Mac Jones, man.
We were. I hope he has a good year 3, and so I can get back on board. I don't know if you have a Mac Jones jersey. I do not.
I do.
Let's make those people that spent money on those Mac Jones jerseys happy. Those Mac Jones rookie cards happy. Let's go.
I know. And that's me, everyone.
Yeah, that's you, Beds. That's why I brought it up. So over under for wins for the Pats is 7.5. What do you think?
Okay. Hard division, hard schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, if it's less
Gun to your head, just like, what do you think? Boom.
Oh, sorry. All right, let's go over.
Yeah,
you don't feel confident about it, to be honest with you.
That's a good over under. That's like why they said it the way they said it. Like that's tough. I guess gun to my head, I would take the under. Gun to my head, but like it's like there's 7 in that 7-8 range. That's why it's 7.5. So gun to my head, I'd say 7. I think that they're probably. Man, they're the 4th best team in that division, which we'll get to divisions at some point, right? They probably are the worst team in that division, at least now. I don't know.
Here's the thing, Randy. So TB's coming back. You're playing Philly. That team's stacked. They have an amazing quarterback. Defense is solid. If we come out and get our tails kicked, it's not going to feel good for me.
Yeah.
If there's a good game, close loss, I'm still hopeful, but if they get their tails kicked, I might bail right away.
We'll get to Philly. So you're in some survivor pools, I'm sure. I guess like the pick so far, I haven't looked at the spreads of any of the week 1 games or any of that stuff yet, or tried to evaluate a pick. But like I have heard people say that Philly against New England is the pick for a lot of survivor pools.
No way.
Week 1 on the road, which is risky, man. You want to take a home team, but yeah, they're a Super Bowl team against the Pats. So I don't know, man. That'll be an interesting game with Tom Brady coming back, like you said. Hopefully they can just not puke everywhere and make it a game.
Before we move on, so you asked me to sell it. Is it going to look good? What hope do I have? What are you thinking? If everything goes right, what's right for you with the Pats?
In terms of wins and like what the season looks like?
What the season looks like if it's a successful season to you.
Remember when we were talking about like Pats making the playoffs and stuff last year, which is kind of funny. But like I don't think that I think a 500 season is a successful season for the Pats.
Yeah.
9-8 season would be a successful season. I don't know that they sneak into the playoffs, man. I think Jets are probably better than them. Buffalo's probably better than them. Miami, depending on what happens with their quarterback situation, is at least even with them. So, I think a success is hitting that over on the 7.5 wins.
Is the Pats defense a top 10 defense?
I think they're on the cusp of that, according to some of the stuff I said. You never know. It's all about forcing turnovers, getting pressure on the quarterback. I don't have a good feel for it, but that's what people seem to think.
If we're anything that's surprising, this is going to feel like the early Pats teams that did go to Super Bowls.
Game manager at quarterback and defense making plays.
Yeah, that's our best case scenario in my mind.
I'm going to move on from the Pats because I feel like we could talk about a whole podcast about them, but I want to switch over to the Jets, another team in our division. Mm-hmm. Aaron Rodgers going there. I think it's year 19 for him. What are your thoughts on that whole fiasco? The Jets' chances, what they're doing? Hit me.
Their defense is amazing. I mean, their drafts the last three or 4 years have been really, really good. So it's like they have some studs on offense. Aaron wasn't very good last year.
He was. But was his head in it, or his heart in it, I should say? He seemed like he was just kind of out on the whole year. I guess that's the thing you hope as a Jets fan, was that just like whatever the situation was in Green Bay was bringing him down, and that he still has gas in the tank and he can turn it on in a new area or a new town with new weapons.
I mean, was Aaron 2019 Brady last year? Probably is my guess. Yeah. He'll be juiced up, better teammates. He's in New York. He's a competitor. He's an alpha. You know, he wants to go in New York and actually dominate. So I say that's going to look better, but they are the Jets. I mean,
They are the Jets. They do always find a way to mess this up. So if anyone can mess it up, it's them. But it seems like they're going all in on this year with some of their weapons. Getting Dalvin Cook, it'll be interesting to see. It'll make those games meaningful because for the longest time it was like anytime the Jets are playing the Pats, it was just kind of like a brutal game. You look forward to it because it's a division game, but now it actually feels like it could be some fun.
So, give me the last president in office for when the Jets actually beat the Patriots.
Like beat the Patriots.
Beat the Patriots.
In a game?
In a game. I saw this the other day and it blew my mind.
So was it Obama?
It was Obama.
That doesn't make any sense, dude.
That's insane.
You guys haven't beaten us in 8 years? 9 years?
Almost 8 years, yeah.
That's funny.
That's insane.
They've been terrible, dude. They've been terrible. I mean, was it since Mark Sanchez days when they last beat us? Probably.
Yep. Probably 2011 is my guess, if you want to hop on the Google machine. But so Miami with Tua. So this is the thing about the division, and it's like when I'm talking about the Pats, it's like I want to make the case for it, but I don't want to sound crazy because I realize we're probably going to finish last in the division. But what if the Jets are the Jets? Something happens, it just doesn't go well. Can Tua stay healthy?
How many games do you think Tua plays this year? Do you think he plays more than half of the games?
So he missed, 4 last year? He had 3 concussions?
More than that, didn't he? I thought he had like 1 or 2 concussions that were official and then some unofficial ones. And didn't he miss like the whole last quarter of the season or something? Or third of the season? I don't know how he finishes the year. I just haven't seen anything from him that makes me think he can finish a year. So I know they have high hopes for him, but reality is like I can't see him playing a full season. If he played 3/4 of the games, that'd probably be a success.
So 17 games, over under is 12.5. You're hammering the under.
Gun to my head, yes. I feel like it's more likely that he just gets to that like 13 or 14 range. But yeah, like if I had to guess, like all it takes is 2 concussions in a row, and you're missing a good amount of time. And then with his history, 2 concussions in a month span that might be the end of his career. So.
And that's the thing. I'm not confident on anything that they have as a backup. So it's like you look at, some of the odds in our division. It's like you have Buffalo, you have the Jets, you have the Dolphins, you have the Pats. And it's like, couldn't you easily see it could shift pretty quickly based on his health. So I don't know. It's like one of those things. Miami's really stacked, but it's like, that's a big question mark to me.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely would need Tua to reach their full potential. Right now, over-under for wins for Miami is 9.5. Over-under for the Jets is also 9.5. Buffalo is 10.5. So, yeah, we're definitely projected to be the last place team in the division. But, again, if Tua plays half the games, then we could easily be the third best. But and then, like you said, the Jets are the Jets, then maybe we can sneak up to being the second best. And I'm actually not sold on Buffalo anymore. I don't know. I almost feel like they missed their window the past few years. There was a ton of Buffalo hype. I think I might have even picked them to win the Super Bowl. And I don't know, man. I just don't have that same feeling going into this season. What about you?
We have some family that are big Buffalo fans, and it's like as the Pats are trying to build something, I'm like not rooting for them, but it's like if this is a time frame where I'm like, all right, I'll let the Bills in my mind win a couple Super Bowls, win a couple divisions. I'm not sold on them. I went in last year on them big time. Can you win a division? Can you win playoff games? Can you win a Super Bowl if one of your best players is an absolute diva dickhead?
Who's this? Stephon Diggs?
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't he say he wants to low-key be traded from the Bills? Or there's something with him the other week. I mean, he'll stick it out, but like he would, would rather be traded at this point because he doesn't think they have it.
He's sliding into an Antonio Brown area for me with his attitude. And like, look, I get it. These alphas, they're on a different level. They're open all the time. But I think a lot of times these guys just lack the ability to realize the left tackle just let the end in. Josh had to go the opposite way to get away from him. And now he's looking on the other side. And dude, you just can't get the ball every time.
And that's not you. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, maybe you realize that and stop being a detriment to your team. And I could be overanalyzing that, but it's like I'm in the same area with you. So it's like going through this list. Tua, the Jets being the Jets, but maybe that's ignorant. Maybe Aaron has an amazing year. Maybe we're just completely off. He's the NFL MVP and they win the division. But it's like right now, Von Miller's not playing the first
Von
four.
Miller's on the pup list, right, to start?
Yeah, so it's like you got a couple things that they're hoping for to have happen. Is they got some guys in the secondary back, but it's like I don't know. It feels it just feels like your upper tier team that's just never going to make it now.
Yeah, I don't have high hopes for them. So I guess maybe that division is more open than it seems when you kind of lay the whole thing out. But I'm still kind of keeping my expectations low with the Pats. I'm going to move on to another division.
All right, let's do it.
That I have high hopes for one of the teams, but it's the AFC North, the Bengals, the Ravens, Browns, Steelers. I am hoping that Burrow can start the season mostly healthy, stay healthy the whole year, and have a freaking rock star year. We'll get to MVP picks later on, but I'm expecting good things from Cincinnati and the weapons that they have.
Yeah,
and Joe Burrow. So I'm excited about them.
Mixon, Chase, Burrow. Who's the second guy over there?
Boyd is the third.
It's that's what it looks like. Dude, that's what it looks like when you draft well year over year.
Yeah. But it does come down to Joey's health, and he's not the most healthiest guy. It was, I think, a calf that he pulled a few weeks back, and ACL. And trust me, I know the calf situation. Right. I know that one well.
Randy pulls his calf getting out of bed, everyone.
I just pulled my calf, 5 minutes into the podcast. So yeah, I know, man, it's hard to bounce back from that stuff, but I guess it's probably a big if, but if he can stay healthy, I really look forward to what they can do this year.
Bengals on the top of the division, Ravens, Browns, Steelers in that order, and the betting odds are really not too far away from each other.
What are your thoughts on the Ravens? Because
Zay Flowers.
What's that?
Zay Flowers, I think they got a good one.
Yeah.
I really do.
He'd be a good player. Lamar didn't play the end of the season last year. Don't think he played the playoffs. He probably could have if he's trying to get traded or whatever the situation was, and he's obviously back. They signed Odell. I mean, they're always a frisky team. I'll just be interested to see how it starts out, given the way this season and the second half of the season last year went for him.
The coach over there is probably in the top 3 of the league for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he always prepares his guys well. I think he's in that same area as Bill is, where it's like, the 50-50 stuff within a game, you always lean towards he's going to make the right choice in the second half. So Lamar Jackson, to me, I watch their games and I'm just like, man, he's just not a good passer. He's not a good pocket passer. Sometimes he makes some terrible decisions. Mm-hmm. Yeah, his legs save him. But I look at a guy like that and I'm like, he gets better every year. He's hurt sometimes. Mm-hmm. Man, if he could put it together for 17 games through the playoffs, make big plays when they need to be made, that team's scary as hell.
That's such a big if. I feel like guys like him, you don't realize they lose it till they lost it. And I don't know, man. I don't know what we're getting with him. It could be done for him. He could have peaked already in the past few years. Obviously won his MVP. Has had some really great years. But I don't know. He just got he got a big contract extension, right? I think just like a lot of quarterbacks have this offseason. So you never know how guys perform after they get the big contract.
Yep.
He could be great, but I just am not super sold on him. So coming out of that division, I still like Cincy better for that reason alone.
You and I are business guys. I thought it was fascinating seeing that cat and mouse between the Ravens front office and Lamar's whoever's representing him.
I think he represents himself, right? Which I don't know. That must be to his detriment, maybe. I don't know. If he had a more shrewd agent, maybe something happens. But yeah, man, there was no real market to trade for him. I know if the Pats could have traded for him, I probably would have been like, no, I'm good, personally. But it seems like everyone else felt that way as well.
So I look at the next team in the list of the Browns. So the Browns are the ones that made that contract decision, which is just insane. They gave that much guaranteed money.
Watson.
Yeah, so that kind of ties into my Ravens thought with Lamar. So I kind of like that the precedent of that was stopped at Deshaun, because I just don't think in such a violent sport.
And what you're talking about for precedent is a fully guaranteed contract, which is what Deshaun got. And a lot of owners didn't like that because that's just not the way the NFL typically operates. But I mean, it's almost like how Cleveland has to operate because people aren't going to go to Cleveland because they want to live in Cleveland. It's like you really have to break out the Brinks truck to make it as financially appealing. And that's what they did. And they obviously got him.
Dude, PFF, Deshaun was so bad in so many areas.
Really?
There's 3 main passing areas: yards per game, completion percentage. I mean, he was in the bottom 4 of qualifiers, and you gave him guaranteed money, and he was just awful. So
we'll see, man. This is his chance. Like full year, distractions behind. You know, his situation is less of a conversation piece now. So now he can like come out and play football with a full mini camp and all that stuff. And we'll see. We'll see pretty early on if he looks better this year than he did last year.
So real quick. So AFC East, Bills, Jets, Dolphins, Pats from the betting odds. This one is Bengals, Ravens, Browns, Steelers.
Yeah.
I actually see the Steelers flipping that. I can see them finishing 3rd in that division.
People are high on Kenny Pickett. That was, I think, both of our offensive rookie of the year picks last year. People are high on him. You know, minimizes mistakes. They're obviously a well-coached team. The Browns are it's like the Jets are the Jets, the Browns are the Browns. Like those teams find a way to implode. So it wouldn't surprise me one bit if the Browns ended up being last place in that division.
And I got to say, too, is like if we've got some Steeler fans listening to this, Tomlin needs to be in a conversation about it. So his run of plus 500 finishes in a season is pretty impressive. I think it's 15 years or something like that. I could be wrong, but I mean the guy all he does is win. He's a great coach.
He's a great coach.
Very good coach. So
except for that time, do you remember when he like stepped on the field on a kickoff return years back?
That was in New York, I think.
Yeah, like I think he made the runner move a little bit to ultimately end up getting tackled. And I don't know, man. He's a great coach, but I always am a little bit skeptical, with that situation. I would love for him to like fully address what the hell he was thinking when he did that, because he impacted the play on the field by like stepping on there. And I was like, what? Anyways, it's what comes to mind with him for me when, it should be more positive things, but I am a little skeptical. Next division, AFC South, Jacksonville, Colts, Texans, Titans.
Yeah.
Right now, do you know who the favorite is to win that division?
Jags.
Jacksonville, man. Trevor Lawrence. People are expecting a big year from Trevor Lawrence. I'm actually sneaky excited about the Jaguars and what Trevor Lawrence can do. Calvin Ridley coming back. ETN, having a backfield to himself for the full year.
Better coaching.
That
Meyer experience was terrible. Wow, that was weird.
Yeah.
God, that was weird. You hate to see a big name like that come from a college program where it's like, you have a stigma against you anyways because you're coming in from the college programs. And it seemed like his preparation was just awful. So he was given this prize and he screwed it up.
Yeah. So now that stuff's further in the rearview mirror, I'm looking forward to what they can do. I kind of feel like Tennessee maybe is another one of those teams that missed their window when they were really good, when it was like peak Derrick Henry, where Derrick Henry was truly a unicorn in the league and kind of like in this generation, just like a complete beast of a running back. Still good, but like those guys can't do that for 6 seasons in a row. And Tannehill's still the quarterback.
Yeah. Middle of the pack team. It feels like middle of the pack team trending the opposite way. Yeah. Well coached though. Vrabel beat us in Brady's last game, made us look silly that playoff game.
Yep, I'll never forget that for sure. And I still love Vrabel, so it's like I would like to see him have some success. When they're kicking around deep in the playoffs the other year, I was, part of me wanted to see them win it just for Vrabel.
Question, Randy. Mike Vrabel has X amount of touchdowns caught as a player. How many of them were with the Patriots? How many were with the Chiefs?
I would have thought they would all be with the Patriots, but it sounds like that's probably not the answer. But I would guess that he has 5 touchdowns and 4 of them with the Pats.
Okay. The number is 12. How many with
12 touchdowns?
Yeah, dude.
No way.
Yep. How many with the Pats?
I would say 10.
Yep, nailed it.
Yeah. I mean, the Pats found ways to get him in there in goal line situations.
So yeah, Mike, I saw some Mike highlights this week, and I'm like, all right, I need to sneak that into the pod. So here I am dropping some
love it.
knowledge.
Love me some Vrabel stats.
Same here.
The rest of that division kind of garbage. Colts are rebuilding. Jonathan Taylor is on the pup list for now. Obviously disgruntled, wanted to be traded, wasn't traded. Yeah, Anthony Richardson as a quarterback could be a bright spot for them, but they don't have a lot of weapons out there. And then the Texans are just like full rebuild mode. And just
big arm. Dude, sorry. Big arm on that Richardson kid. Jesus. Yeah. CJ for the Texans.
I don't know.
Does it have a Kyler Murray type feel to it? Little guy running around is probably going to get smushed. It's going to have some
not a lot of weapons out there either. You know, it's just it's tough. These quarterbacks, it's tough for quarterbacks that get drafted early because they just get put into tough situations with probably inconsistent coaching and a lot of turnover and not a lot of weapons. So I don't know. I feel bad for some of those guys. It's almost like good for a guy like Mac Jones to get drafted in the middle of the first round and end up on a team like the Pats, as opposed to being drafted first and end up on a freaking nightmare team like Texans were and like the Jaguars were prior to what they hope this year will be.
I guess, Bud, just to add a little excitement to this division because it's terrible. Let's go. I don't know if you have the wins projection for the Jags. What is it?
I'll pull it up. Take me 2 seconds.
If I had a guess, I'm going to say 9.
For Jacksonville? I like that. We're probably fair. I mean, for a team that's supposed to win the division, it's got to be something in that range. 9.5, dude. So I guess they're probably expecting a fairly competitive division between those crappy teams. But I would probably take the over on that, truthfully.
They've got 2, 4, 6 games in the division. They're probably going to win at least 4 of them.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
Yeah. I'd probably hammer the over. Yeah.
So, yeah, they probably win that division. All right, I'm going to move on to the AFC West. Got our defending champs, the Chiefs in there, Chargers, Herbert with the big extension, Broncos, which I hate, always have, Raiders, sneaky kind of like because Brady's a minority owner. What do you think of that division?
Two teams with quarterbacks. Mac Jones needs to prove something in the AFC East. I think you have 2 quarterbacks in the back half of that division that just really have a lot to prove. Jimmy G works with Josh. Josh works with Jimmy. You know, that's a good union. But, I mean, Jimmy G, what are we talking about here?
But he wins games, man. So if you look at the odds to win the AFC West, Chiefs are minus 160, so they're the favorite. Chargers plus 310. Denver plus 650, and then Raiders plus 2,000. So it's like the Raiders are far and expected to be the last place team in that division by far.
Yeah.
And it's like you get Devontae Adams, who's still one of the best receivers in the league. Josh Jacobs, great running back. And Jimmy G wins games. And some of the nonsense last year with Derek Carr is behind them. I don't know, man. I don't have high hopes for the Broncos. So it's like how I could easily see the Raiders not coming in last place in that division.
Is it? It's a unilateral move, right? Carr, Jimmy? Or am I just way off on that?
It's not a downgrade.
It's
right. It's not. I mean, Jimmy can't stay healthy, so that's obviously hard. But like, it's not a downgrade in terms of the skill. Jimmy wins games. He just does. He doesn't put up big stats, but you're telling me that Russell Wilson is much better than Jimmy G? Like, who would you rather take? I don't know. I probably would rather take Jimmy G. I hate Russell Wilson. I think he's garbage. You know, so he's going to lead that Broncos team to a much better season than the Raiders. I don't know.
I mean, you just nailed all of that. Let's start there. Russ. Jesus, Russ. That was so bad last year. That's in the area of like the Browns wasting money on Deshaun. Russ is owed a lot of money, and that was very bad last year.
I mean, the Deshaun Watson thing's probably like hands down the worst thing ever, but like this is, if it wasn't for that Watson situation, this would probably be the worst because they did give him a lot of money, and everything I read on him, everything I listen to on Russell Wilson, he just doesn't have it anymore. He's just not as mobile as he used to be. You know, people think of him that way, but he just doesn't have it. He's not that good of a passer that he can compensate for the lack of mobility. I mean, yeah, sure, they have Sean Payton this year, and everyone expects that to be a complete different situation for him, but I don't know, man. Hasn't looked good.
So, question on the Broncos. And this kind of feels like something that's happened in the past. You know, Drew Bledsoe, there's a bunch of comps of guys where it's like they got the money, they had the name, and then ultimately they got replaced. does Russ finish the season, aside from injury, as the starting quarterback of the Denver Broncos?
That is a fair question. Some of the stuff I heard even yesterday was that he has a short leash. And if he does not perform, it's not a guarantee that he finishes that year as the quarterback. So because I'm so negative on Russell Wilson, I'll say he doesn't finish the year. Because
does he make it 10 games? Because I think the answer is no. To the
if
first
he's going to get pulled, he's probably not going to make it 10 games. So
I don't think that ends well.
Spot. So can the Raiders not be better than the Broncos? I don't know, man. I feel like the Raiders could be better. Chargers are obviously good. They're a few plays away. They get some good players, man. Herbert's good. Got that big contract now, too, so you never know how that goes afterwards. But they have some weapons. Yeah. It's always hard to compete with the Chiefs, though, in that division.
It's funny with the Chargers. I just picture a guy with a surfboard just hanging out in the afternoon in the ocean when it comes to Herbert, as good as he is.
Does he have the best situation in the NFL? Like, is in L.A., just got, a $300 million contract or something ridiculous.
Dude, he's got the 07 Brady hair going.
Yeah. It's not a bad situation for him. He definitely needs to start stepping it up, but, people like him, like his arm, like his team. So I wouldn't mind being Herbert.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind being Herbert. And since I'm feeling it with the random questions, 2 interdivision games between the Chiefs and Chargers. Can the Chargers take one of those?
Absolutely, dude. I think the Chiefs are beatable in the season. I really do. They have less and less weapons outside. They obviously have Kelsey. They obviously have Mahomes, who I sneaky love now. I think I'm a Mahomes guy, which is weird.
He's a great quarterback.
He's the freaking man. He's so good. It's unbelievable. What he did in the playoffs and the Super Bowl last year was just it was on another level. If I wasn't a Tom Brady guy till the day I die, Mahomes would be my man. He's awesome. But yeah, I don't know. I think the Chargers could split that with them. Yeah. So how about this? Let me ask you this. What do you think KC's over-under is for wins?
In that division, I'm projecting 2, 4, 5 wins. In the Chiefs, I bet that over-under is at 12.5.
It's 13.5.
Jesus.
And I don't know that I would take that over. So they're going to go 14-3. That's the expectation, 14-3 to hit the over. I'd probably take the under on that. Not by much, but I don't know. That's what
I think I mirror the same thoughts, so I'm not going to come out with anything smart here. They're capable. This team reminds me of the Pats run. They've got a good coach. As long as they're not injured every other week at important positions, they should win that many games. I don't like the fact that Jones is holding out though. Yep. They're stud. Yeah. It looks like he's whatever list that is. It doesn't look like he's starting the season with them.
Yeah, that pup list. So, Chargers are at 10.5 wins. So, yeah,
10.5.
Maybe they make it close.
They take 2 from the Raiders. They take, I'm going to say 1 from the Broncos, because the Chargers to me just seem like the team that's going to drop a game or 2 here where you shouldn't have lost that game.
Yeah, like a close game or something that just doesn't break in their favor, where maybe it breaks in KC's favor just because they're KC and just because they have Mahomes.
10.5, you said?
Yeah.
I'm going to say they win 10 games.
Yeah, that probably sounds about right. Make the playoffs as a wild card team. All right, I'm going to switch it over to the NFC because we're cruising along, man. So this is going to be a long one. All right, tell me about the NFC North. Lions, Vikings, Packers, Bears. Anything excites you about the division? What comes to mind in that division?
Was interested to see that the Lions had the best betting odds. It seems like the last couple of years of drafts are starting to stack up a little bit.
Yeah, they got some weapons.
Yeah.
Goff is a sneaky good quarterback. Yeah. I don't want to say good, but he's a serviceable quarterback, maybe a top 10 quarterback. Yeah. 8, 9, 10 ranked quarterback. Everyone seems to love the coach out in Detroit. I don't know, man. They're the favorites.
All right, some thoughts. Big Kirk Cousins guy because of the Netflix thing. I think
Mahomes. I love Kirk Cousins now.
I think Mahomes brought me in a little bit too sneakily. I think I'd like his wife because she's a nut job enough to push him to be better.
He is a nut job. Yeah. I actually didn't hate her as much as I thought maybe I would going into watching that show. But
dude, she pushes him.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's good. I didn't realize that she was an athlete herself, so it kind of gave me a little bit of a different point of view on things.
So the betting odds that I'm looking at is plus 140 for the Lions. The back half of the division, let's get our boy James Morin. Excited for this conversation. plus 400 Packers.
Wait, is
Jordan
he a
Love.
Jets fan now, or is he a Packers fan? Is he
No,
bailed?
I thought I noticed in our text string he's not a Jets guy at the moment. I have the feeling that James is a little bit in the Brady area that I was when he went to Tampa. It took me a couple games to hop
So
into.
I fully embraced the Tampa scenario right from the
Yeah.
beginning. So like, if I was James, I'd be like a full blown Jets guy at this point.
Yeah.
But
You love different than me and James. But let me ask you. So those betting odds are not too far apart from each other. Can the Packers finish first in that division? What needs to happen?
no, and they need Jordan Love to like play out of his mind, and he hadn't shown it to me in the limited time that he had his opportunities. People seem to be like actually pretty high on him and think he can be a pretty good quarterback. But like that's what needs to happen, right? They need to have him step up. The receivers aren't that great. Aaron Jones is decent. Dylan's a good backup. I don't know, man. I just don't have high hopes for it now. Maybe they'll surprise me, but gun to my head, I would say the Packers don't have a chance, and it really is going to be between Detroit and Minnesota.
A couple of those young wide receivers towards the tail end of the year played pretty well. Jordan Love, yeah, so Love sat a little bit less than Rodgers did for Favre.
Yep.
It would be so funny if all of a sudden Jordan Love is sort of ready to make the next, make the leap after sitting and having limited stuff for playing.
Yeah, that was how it went. It would be funny.
The Bears quarterback, not sure if I'm sold on that team. The Vikings, the thing is so this is the area with the Vikings for me. It's like the Tennessee area.
They had a good regular season last year. They obviously have Justin Jefferson, who is best skilled position player in the league, probably, or at least one of them, top 2 or 3. So they have him, and Kirk Cousins is an above average quarterback, but I don't know. They're just kind of like, I don't know that they're ever going to win the Super Bowl.
So last year I nailed the Eagles winning their division. It was sort of off the cuff for me to call that. Nailed that. No big deal.
No big deal. That was like the one division you nailed, but no big deal.
Chris calling out his amazing call, Randy nailing everything else. I'm going to say that the NFC North division leader at the end of the year, the Green Bay Packers.
Wow.
I don't know why I'm doing this,
Randy. You just don't want James to fight you next time that you see him. You want to be able to tell him that you pick the Packers. So that's cool. Hey, I love it, man. You can't just pick the favorite every time. So if that's where you want to put some money, hey, give it a shot. See what happens. It is the NFL, man. Anything really can happen.
All right, man. Who wins it for you?
Vikings again.
Yeah. It's
Vikings again, just because, again, I'm not sold on the Packers. Bears are not there for me. I don't know that I can fully buy into the Lions hype yet until I see it. They're just one of those teams that's just never been good. I don't know that they have it in them to win a division. So until I see it, it's hard for me to say that they're going to win the division. So I guess that kind of leaves me with Minnesota by default.
The logical side of me says Vikings, flip a coin, Packers, Lions, and then Bears. But like the AFC East, we're talking about all those variables. Maybe the Packers have something right fall their way. So I'm going to Green Bay Packers. Lock it
Love
up.
it, dude.
Go Pack, go.
Big cheesehead. All right, NFC East. This could be interesting. Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, Commanders. What strikes you for that division?
A lot of talent, a lot of defense. Jeez, that Cowboys team, Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
I would be deathly afraid of that guy.
When are they going to be good, man? When is Dallas going to actually put it all together? Because Dak's a decent quarterback, and I feel like they missed their shot with Zeke and some of the teams that they had, and they do have CeeDee Lamb. I don't know.
Dude, Dak getting hurt a couple years ago, that didn't help. They missed Zeke's prime. I don't think they're poorly run. Like, Jerry Jones gets hammered a lot, but look at what he puts on the field every year. He's got talent. He drafts talent. He brings in talent.
He makes moves.
So, yeah,
he definitely makes moves.
The issue is quarterback. It's a quarterback league. They win games for you.
Dak's not. He's good. He's just not that good, and he doesn't even stay on the field. And so it's just he's like just good enough that they can't get rid of him.
Yeah.
And it keeps it in this weird spot for them. And it's such a quarterback league.
Randy, it's the area that I hope Mac Jones doesn't live in.
Just good enough.
Yeah.
Kind of like maybe like a Kirk Cousins too, like just good enough where
Just good enough.
Just you can't get rid of them, but you're not going to win anything with them. And I kind of feel like that's where they are. Eagles to me, like we'll get to Super Bowl picks, but Eagles are good, man. I hate to say it because Eagles fans annoy the shit out of me, and I'm sure some of them are listening. And just shout out to them, but they're pretty good.
Listen, shout out to them. Annoying as can I swear? Annoying as fuck. They're so annoying. Eagle fans are so annoying.
Yeah, who's the worst fans? Is it Eagles fans? I mean, there's some Steeler fans in my life that are pretty annoying. Cowboys fans are always going to be really annoying though too, because it's especially the ones that are around our age. They're only Cowboys fans because of Aikman, Irvin, Emmitt Smith, Dion, those guys in the early '90s. It's like, dude, come on. All right.
Yeah, front runners.
I get it, man. I like the Bulls and Jordan when they were big, but like, all right, let's grow up now.
Yeah.
Come
on. Let's come back to our New England roots. Let's get over this.
Yeah. So, but Eagles are definitely in the conversation for most annoying fan.
When you boo the great Dr. J, you guys can piss off.
Love it. Got that basketball in this pod.
Thank you. Eagles obviously going to win that. It's maybe the Cowboys, those odds. There's not too much of a difference there, Randy, but not sold on that.
Giants. I love Jalen Hurts. Always have. Loved him in college, man. When they got him, I was pumped for them, and he's just a great player. I thought he did great in the Super Bowl last year. So, I don't know. It'd be hard to pick against them.
Dude, that Oklahoma team Hurts, Tua, and Mac, pretty stacked.
Yeah.
Commanders, they're going to stay at the end of the division. The Giants, well-coached. Dable, coming from Buffalo via New England. I think he's a Jim Moran guy, different Jim Moran. Our boss, Jim Moran.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think it's the Eagles and everybody else. Commanders finished last. Giants probably make a case to finish second.
They could compete with the Cowboys. Daniel Jones got a contract extension. Saquon, playing for his next contract, right? He agreed to the franchise tender, so they could be in the middle of the pack. They're definitely not like the worst team. They won a playoff game against the Vikings last year, so they can make some noise. The NFC South looks just like an absolute dumpster fire of a division to me. Now that Brady's gone from the Bucks, I mean, Bucks are all the way like in last place or favored to be in last place in the division after being a top team. Saints favored to win right now, but that's with Carr at quarterback. Kamara's missing a few games. I don't know. I don't feel great about them. Falcons and Carolina are very much two teams that are in transition. If it'd be possible for a division to not have a team make the playoffs, it would be this one in my mind. But
this one is terrible. So let's ask the question then, because one of them has to make the playoffs. It's not the Bucs.
I wouldn't mind seeing Baker make some noise down there.
Same. But yeah. Randy, it's not the Panthers, right? They don't have a shot.
I mean, they don't have any weapons, man. They have, Bryce Young in there at QB, but they have some rebuilding to do.
So you go with the Jonnu Smith, Cordero Patterson, or is it Cordarrelle? I never knew how to say it.
Cordero.
Yeah. Falcons, maybe?
Can no one win it? I mean, can they just tie? I mean, I guess it really comes down to the Falcons and the Saints, and it really is a coin flip of who gets lucky. I don't think one of those teams goes out and takes the division. It's probably like this could be a 7-9 division winner. One of those divisions where you go in with a losing record, not 7-9, 8-9, I should say. If you look at the Saints, real quick, New Orleans Saints, their over-under for wins is 9.5. So the favorite for the division over-under for wins is 9.5. And I'd probably take the under. And if they win the division with 8 wins or 9 wins, it's not a great division.
I'm not going over on that. What's the Falcons? 8 games?
Got to be close. Let's see. Falcons are 8.5. So I'd probably take the under on that too.
Under.
Tampa over under 6.5. So that's pretty tight. Yeah, and then I bet you I'm not even going to look, but actually maybe I'll look now. But Carolina is
5.5,
9.5. So, which is strange because they're not, they have a better over-under than the Falcons, but they're somehow the third favorite team in the division. So I don't know, man. I guess maybe the Saints win it, but garbage division, not that much to look forward to. I will try to avoid drafting anybody on my fantasy team on any of those teams.
Yeah.
Just because not super positive about them. NFC West.
Can I do something real quick?
Sure.
Fantasy football.
Yep.
So I realized something the other day, and I got to give you some props. So I have a couple championship belts. You know that. I need to acknowledge the fact that you have 2 in our league. And it's so crazy in the other league, the bad luck that you have in that one.
Dude,
it's.
I appreciate you acknowledging this. It's weird how much I want to win it in that other league that you have the championships, because that's like the show. You know, when it comes like I've won a couple in our other league, and then I've won like 5 with like my college buddies. Like I've won championships. It's like winning minor league championships or like rec league championships. I want to win the league that I'm in with, you know, those other guys, the John and Joel league and that whole gang.
Before we move on from this, you have no idea. There's so many things in my head throughout the course of the day, throughout the course of my life. There are a couple things that stick with me, and it's the 2 losses in the championship that I have in our league together. I could be 4-time right now.
Of all the good and bad things that have happened in your life, it would bother me.
Yes, it really does. So anyhow, congratulations on your few championships.
Quick fantasy story from my brother for last year. I know you've had some tough losses. My brother, Curtis, lost in the championship. He was going into a Sunday night game. You'll remember this. Bengals, Bills, going into that game down 0.8 with Jamar Chase going, and who he was playing against had nobody going. So he needed Jamar Chase to get over 0.8 points, or like 1.8 points, or something that's like very easy. And then the Damar Hamlin thing happened. We canceled the game. And he lost the championship game because of that.
I did not know that.
Yeah. He was telling me it the other day. We were playing golf, and I didn't know it at the time, but I was like, man, talk about ways to lose. That is an all-time worst case scenario way to lose. Because he had it. I mean, effectively, it was a formality that he was going to get the 0.8 or 1.8 yards or 1.8 points to get him the championship, and then that happens, and then they just obviously cancel the game.
I'm such a nut job. I lost the baseball championship when I was in my mid-20s by a change of a hit to an error, and I had both players in the equation. It was like Eric Chavez and Michael Young.
After the fact or in the game? Did they change it like next morning or overnight?
The next morning. I went to bed thinking I won by half, I lost by half. That was the last time I played fantasy baseball. I'm out.
Yeah,
I can't handle it.
That's all I would need.
Sorry, we just went off on a tangent.
Yeah, I love it, dude. All right, last division.
Okay.
Niners, Seahawks, Rams, Cardinals. Seems to me like the Niners are good. Niners defense is very good. Brock Purdy's back. Niners have some weapons in CMC and Debo. I find it hard to believe that the Seahawks are going to beat them, never mind the Rams, who are awful, and the Cardinals are even more awful. Thoughts on that division?
Seahawks, well coached, like Pete. Rams, excellently coached, trying to work their way out of cap hell, trying to come back from some injuries. You know, it's a little bit of that area where the Pats are right now, trying to rebuild. Cardinals, I mean, that's whatever. Niners are going to kill that division.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the Niners. It's unfortunate that last year's season ended with Brock Purdy's elbow situation in that playoff game.
Yeah.
Because it was over at that point. You know, because he was in there just handing off the ball. I think he was maybe throwing like these very short screens, but he just had nothing in his arm. And hopefully they can bounce back, man. Debo's a special player. CMC is a special player. Their defense is freaking nasty. Bosa's nasty. So,
a quick question on them. Curious of your opinion. They gave up a lot of capital for CMC. Really good move. Mm-hmm. But big move capital for a running back. It's totally against the Belichick grain where he's like, I'm just going to plug this guy and I'll draft this guy. They really missed on Trey Lance. I mean, John's a really good GM. Debo. I mean, you could go up and down the list.
That is an all-time miss.
Yep.
If they didn't have Purdy, if they hadn't had some success since they drafted Trey, it would probably be a bigger story. They've managed to weather the storm. But Oh, I forget who it was. I think some of the guys sent it out, and I want to pull it up in this.
Was it quarter?
The guys that were picked after Trey Lance. That list of players is freaking insane.
Oh,
all right, so here are the guys that were drafted after Trey Lance: Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, Patrick Surtain II, Devonta Smith, Justin Fields, Micah Parsons, Mac Jones. Like, dude, to give up what they gave to go get Trey Lance, who is the worst one out of all of those guys. I mean, imagine if they had all the picks that they traded, and they had Jamar Chase on their team with what they have. It'd be insane. So, luckily, they've had some success, so it kind of gets pushed to the wayside.
I'll tell you about a big basketball guy. Love football and baseball. I love the business side of sports. I study this stuff insanely. It's so weird, or maybe it's normal. I actually pegged Mac Jones for that team. I thought
they were too.
Yeah. I was like floored when they went Trey. It just didn't fit for me.
Yeah.
I mean, aesthetically, like lack of pocket passing, it just seemed like his habit was to just take off and throw crossbody a lot. It didn't fit what they built as far as an offense. But
all-time bad trade. So they've managed to still be successful, and they honestly probably still win that division pretty easily. What Geno Smith did last year was fun to see in Seattle. He got some money. I don't know if that was a lightning in the bottle situation. I don't know if he's now what we saw last year, or if that was just like one really good year for him, and maybe he kind of regresses back to the mean, which is a little bit more of an average quarterback.
So, good division stuff.
Yeah. I want to regroup and track some of the picks because we were kind of talking about them as we went.
Yep.
And I want to just kind of make sure we're all on the same page. So who do you have winning the AFC East? End of the day, gun to your head.
Buffalo. Randy?
I will take the Jets. Freaking, I don't feel good about that. I just want you to know that.
I don't even know what I just heard.
Yeah, I'm off to a bad start. I'm a little shaky. I'm rattled right now. Jesus.
I want to edit that.
Yeah. give me a second. Okay. All right. AFC North. Who do you got?
I'll let you start.
I'm going to go Bengals. Bengals are going to be a thing for me this year. So
I'm a big Bengals guy too. Sorry. Got to do it.
That's cool. Copying me. All right. Sweet.
Yeah. No big deal.
AFC South. Who you got? Jaguars, Titans, Colts, Texans.
Jags.
Same. I'm kind of drinking the Trevor Lawrence Kool-Aid right now. AFC West. Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, Raiders. Who you got? I mean, it's no fun to pick the favorites in these scenarios, but like, how do you not take the Chiefs?
Yep.
In that situation. Yeah, it's like you just take them. Sorry. NFC East. Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, Commanders.
Randy goes first.
God damn it. All right, I got to take the Eagles, man. I'm high on the Eagles too. So I'm going to mix it up after this, but I am going to take the Eagles. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I have to. I mean, I can't get cute and get killed by you in this.
I forget I think I dominated you last year. All right, NFC North. Lions, Vikings, Packers, Bears.
Go Pack, go.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Packers. I mean, no, I'm taking the Vikings. My bad.
Okay, all right.
Big Kirk Cousins guy.
Big Kirk Cousins
Love that guy. All right, NFC South. What do you got? Shit division. Awful teams. Who you taking?
I'm going to go with the Jonnu Smith-led Atlanta Falcons. Lock it up. Lock it up.
Lock it up. Of all the crap divisions, that's the one you're going to lock up?
If you're going to do something crazy with every dollar you've ever saved, it's Atlanta Falcons. You're going to make that like the piece that you do.
I'm going to cut this highlight out real quick. I'm taking the Bucs.
Okay.
Just because I think it's such a crap division. Buccaneers plus 1,000. Let's go. Who knows? Who cares?
All right.
NFC West. Niners, Seahawks, Rams.
Randy's first.
Basically, we just talked about it. I got to take the Niners.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. Okay, how about this, Randy? Just to be different, I'll roll the dice on this one. I'll go Seattle.
Seattle?
Yep. I'm going to probably get killed.
I'm going to totally smoke you in this.
Yep.
Okay. Then let's move on to a couple other things because we are wrapping up. We're crushing an hour right now. Who are the two teams in the Super Bowl?
AFC I think it's going to come down to Buffalo, Cincy. I'm going to go Cincy. What are you going with?
You're annoying, but I'm going to do Cincy. Yeah,
I,
for me, it's Cincinnati, and I don't want you to change your pick, but like for me, I would love another Cincy Chiefs AFC Championship game where Burrow ends up winning it. You know, they've had some battles. Burrow's Mahomes is a thing, kind of like Mahomes and Allen was a thing, and you know, Allen and Burrows isn't really a thing at this point. But that's what I would like to see, and I'd like to see Cincy make it. And I'm going to pick Cincy to go to the Super Bowl. I was going to pick them before you picked them.
okay. It's funny though. I ended up picking them before you, so
it looked like I copied. Sweet.
So NFC, give me the two teams that are playing each other, and then give me the team that's coming out.
You know, I don't think there are a lot of good teams in the NFC. Like to me, it can't be anybody but the Eagles versus the 49ers. Like no one else is that good. Like Vikings aren't that good. No one from the NFC South is that good. I mean, could it be the Cowboys maybe? They sneak in there. So for me, it's going to be Eagles versus 49ers, and I'm going to say Eagles make it to the Super Bowl again.
God, that's so annoying. By the way, we overlooked the Chiefs in the AFC.
I didn't, but
I mean, I did. I'm sorry. Jeez, man. Eagles, obviously. I'm trying to. You know what, bud? I'll go with. I'll stay with the Seahawks. I'm just gonna bury myself.
Seahawks into the Super Bowl.
No, not into the Super Bowl. I'll say the game played Seahawks, Eagles, coming out. So now I have Eagles, Cincy.
Same. Who do you got winning?
Jesus. God, those are two stacked teams. Eagles, Cincy. I'm going to say Eagles because Burrow can never stay healthy.
Ooh, all right. I'm going to go. I'm going Cincy.
Okay. All right.
Aubrey's a huge Joe Burrow guy for who knows why. So I'm going to ride him all the way to the Super Bowl, man. They win it. Go Cincy.
Wait a minute. Does Aubrey have a crush on a quarterback?
She loves Joe Burrow. I think Cincy is her favorite team. I think who's her second? I think she said Pats are like her fifth favorite team, but she definitely has favorite teams, man. She definitely has the favorite players. But Burrow's her guy, so I'm gonna make him my guy this year.
Good.
Who's your MVP for the year?
Some of the odds. Let's do it real quick. Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Herbert, Hurts, Lamar, Aaron. I thought that was high. Trevor, Tua. That's nuts. Justin. Really?
Yeah, but you're saying this. There is like a big spread. Like right now, it's like Mahomes is plus 600, Burrow's plus 750, Allen's plus 850, and then Hurts is plus 1100. You know, when you start talking about guys like Fields, he's plus 2,000. Rodgers is plus 1,600. Dak plus 2,200. This is very much a quarterback award. But like for me, it's got to be within those top four guys: the Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, and Hurts. And I've already told you I'm riding Cincy, and so I'm going Burrow MVP. But
no big deal.
Yeah,
let's ride it. Let's ride that Philly train.
You going Hurts?
Let's go Hurts. Let's go.
Yeah, dude, he's the man. So you're one of those annoying Hurts fans now. That's cool.
Big Hurts guy.
This is just kind of throwing this out there. Offensive Player of the Year, which is basically like a non-quarterback award at this point. Best skill player, basically, although it could be a quarterback, I guess. Like, who comes to mind for you as a potential winner for that?
Man.
Just not having really given it that much thought, I guess.
Jefferson or Chase? I'll go Jefferson.
Do you know those are the two top favorite guys? Chase is plus 1,100. Jefferson's plus 1,300. McCaffrey's plus 1,500. Chubb is plus 1,700, which is surprising for me. And then Tyreek Hill's plus 2,000. So it would have to be one of those two guys. I mean, Justin Jefferson, can he repeat the season he had last year? Because that's basically what that's saying. Was that as good as it gets for him?
I honestly, I think the sky's the limit. I don't think he's done being amazing. I like, man, the kid's so amazing, isn't he?
That was freaking incredible. But yeah, I mean, I guess if I'm thinking like Burrow's going to be MVP, if I'm thinking since he's going to be really good, it would almost imply that Jamar Chase has a really good year too. So I don't know how that ends up. It could go a number of different ways, but it's interesting to see that the top two favorite guys are receivers, when in the past it was probably like a running back scenario. It just shows how much the league's changed, how pass heavy it is, how you have to have the best receivers to be successful now. And I love it. It's funner when it's passing. The answer for this next one is obvious, but I want to see if it comes to your mind. Who do you think wins Comeback Player of the Year?
Jeez. Wow, I haven't even given any of that.
I wouldn't have given it any thought either, but do you want me to tell you who the favorite is?
Yeah.
The significant favorite is Damar Hamlin. So he is minus 285, which means a pretty heavy favorite. And then Russell Wilson is the next person at plus 2,000. Tua is plus 2,000. Lamar Jackson's plus 2,500. First of all, that just shows that like Russell Wilson's even in the conversation for that. Just shows like how shitty he was last year. And I think there's a chance that he might improve upon that to the point that he would get this award. But basically, this tells me is if Hamlin stays somewhat healthy, plays in half of the games, and isn't like a complete bum, like he has that locked up, which I thought was pretty interesting.
I'll say this. I'm going to go, if we had a pick, I'm going to say he does not stay healthy. I'm going to go Lamar Jackson.
Interesting. Yeah, because what we already talked about with Tua, I don't think he stays healthy. And the Russell Wilson's complete garbage. And Jackson would be like the next best pick. You know who's after that is my boy Breece Hall for the Jets as plus 2,500. So I would like to see him come back for fantasy purposes.
And are you going to do it?
What? Keep him?
You going to pick it? Is that who you're picking?
Oh, no. I mean, I do think that's such a heavy favorite that it's I agree with it. I mean, he's just going to play half the games. Okay. Even then, even if he didn't play half the games, they'd probably still give it to him just for the fact that he set foot on the field like one time.
Just to have a little fun with it, if you couldn't pick him, who would it be?
It's one of those things where am I jaded by the odds that I'm looking at right now, or if I'm just like trying to pull it out of thin air? But like Lamar's a good pick.
Yeah,
they didn't end the year well, didn't have a great year. Yep. Could come back and have a really nice year. You know, other guys a little bit deeper down the list. And Trey Lance is somewhere on the list. Like he's not playing. Trey Lance is not playing. Odell Beckham plus 4,500. I would like to see that. I kind of like watching him play. I like a good Odell Beckham Jr. And that would be cool to see. Kelvin Ridley plus 3,500. He could have a nice year down in Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, he was suspended last year because he bet on some game or something. Besides that, no one else really comes to mind. Deshaun Watson, Jimmy Garoppolo. But yeah, it seems like a Damar Hamlin award for now.
Defensive Player of the Year.
So, who do you think the favorite is? Who comes to mind for you?
The first thing I mentioned when we talked about the NFC East was Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
My God, the way that kid plays reminds me something sneaky about me. I've always loved the New England Patriots. I did love the New York Giants.
It's weird.
It's super weird, but it was regional coverage back then. I mean, I can tell you who played the offensive line for the 91 championship team.
Do you remember Dave Meggett?
Dave Meggett. Do you remember Otis Anderson? Do you remember Steve Baker? Do you remember Jumbo Elliott?
Yeah.
I could keep going. But anyhow, Micah reminds me of LT motor-wise.
Mm-hmm.
My God, that guy gets everywhere. So I'm going to go Micah.
Love it, dude. He's the favorite. So he's plus 500. I'd go with Nick Bosa, another one of Aubrey's picks. Aubrey knows about Nick Bosa somehow. I don't know how that is. But we're talking about the 49ers, and she's like, yeah, they have Nick Bosa. So it's like, that's who I'm taking. Nick Bosa, Defensive Player of the Year, plus 1,200.
I love that. I think that's it, right?
Yeah, dude, that's everything I want to talk about. I don't think that's anything there that we missed. We kind of dug pretty deep into all the divisions, all the storylines. I'm definitely excited for the season. Thursday night, brother.
Thursday night. Before we say goodbye, I want to congratulate you on 250 subscribers. Good job with that, buddy. I'm excited about it. I really do enjoy this podcast, so congratulations.
It's fun doing it with you, man, for sure. 250, like, I don't know how that sounds to people. Like, for me, like, I am definitely proud of it because I know how long it takes to get to that point, and you're expecting like 250 people to actually go through the process of clicking that follow button or subscribe, and it doesn't seem like that much, but it is hard to motivate people to do that sort of stuff. So the fact that 250 people said, yeah, you know what, I'll follow this, I'll see what shows up in the feed every week, outside of the people that just kind of listen to one-offs or, you know, whatever they see when I post it on social media. It's cool that people have been willing to do that. And I don't know, man, hoping the next 250 goes quicker, but this whole thing is definitely like a slow grind. but it's a ton of fun, man. So I'm glad that we always do different things throughout the year.
I will say that stick with it. The presentation's awesome. I love what you do with all of it. Just congratulations.
Thanks, bud. You're the man. I'll track our stuff and we'll revisit later on the year. We got NBA not too far away. We got checking in on the NFL season not too far away, and we'll find some other stuff to talk about. So we'll do it again soon.
Sounds good.
All right. Later, bud.
See ya.